Hey guys, as you can see, I am in a trailer up in the mountains, just like I said. So, I don't even have my mic on right now, so I'm sure my audio is shit. I've been very busy with stuff over the last few days. There's been, you know, no real way for me to review anything, whatnot. I've watched some stuff, but just reviewing wasn't in the cards at that point. So the new Grudge was coming out. Now I moved to a very small town up in the mountains of Arizona. And I used to live here a long time ago. And one of the biggest problems I had with living here is the theaters never got any movies I wanted to see. We have one theater, it only plays 6 movies, and 99% of the time when they get when a horror movie comes out, they don't get it. So the new Grudge came out, which I wasn't a big, fan of the other ones all that much, what I had seen back in the day. So I wasn't really looking forward to it. And of course, lo and behold, they did not get it. So I didn't get a chance to see it, nor was I dying to do so. But a while back, I bought a ton of foreign J-horror movies. And I bought a lot of Grudge movies, like a lot of them. So now, the other day when I was at my house before I came up here, I went to go throw in Juon, not the first one because this is like a remake of the original Juon the Curse or something. There's so many of these damn movies, but this was like the first big one. I think the other ones didn't go as well, but when I opened the case, it wasn't in there. And so I threw it up on YouTube, and that shit was on there, but it was really bad quality. I watched like half of it, then I couldn't watch any more of it, then I couldn't get back to it. Now I'm up here where there's no internet. I can't even upload this until I get on a Wi-Fi signal sometime tomorrow. So yeah, blah, blah, blah. I had to skip this, which meant that I couldn't just jump on over to Juon 2 because that's not how I roll. So I said, screw it, let's just jump over to the Sarah Michelle Gellar one, The Grudge. Having rewatched this, having not seen it in a while, I am not much of a fan. I'm so much not a fan that I don't know if I want to review the rest of this series, because if this is all it's going to be, this stuff just doesn't work for me. I think I can just outright say the J-horror stuff really doesn't do much for me. The whole body contortionist, Asian lady, black hair in her face stuff, I just don't find it effective. I don't find it that eerie, creepy. I find it really silly, to be honest. That all said, I do have the second one queued up on the television right now. But, so I got that. I don't know. Maybe I'll press play. I've only got like 2 hours left on the generator before it goes out, which is almost the length of this film. Yeah, so anyways, so let's talk about the Grudge one here. I'm not going to say a whole lot. I don't really have a lot of notes. I know I say that a lot and then I talk for 6 hours. But I really don't. We get this really awesome opening, I will say that, with Bill Pullman, where his girlfriend, wife, whatever, she wakes up and she looks over and he just jumps out the window and she looks down and his mangled body is laying on the ground. Pretty good for PG-13. I mean, it's not like gory, but it does feel kind of graphic in the moment. And I was like, all right, sweet. And there's no scream from her. There's no loud music. So it's kind of like creepy, eerie tension built up. And I like that. It's kind of earned. But then most of the problems I have with this movie is that I just don't find Kyoko to be scary. I find her to be very silly. The CG, the composite, like all of that stuff is just not effective, in addition to her character just not being effective to me, like, at all. And this is the same of most of these Japanese horror movies. They rely very heavily on the ghost paranormal stuff, and they kind of all have a very similar feel to them. And that's why I don't really talk about them much, because of all the ones I've watched, they don't do a lot for me. But that isn't to say that I won't check out more and that I won't try, to revisit stuff in the past, like maybe the Ring franchise or Dark Waters or what have you. But anyway, so yeah, the Bill Pullman opening sequence is pretty good. The music is fairly haunting at times. I did like that. Um, the unlit face behind a character, and then she like slowly turns, and then the face becomes lit, and then it's in her face. Now, when we see the face, I find it to be pretty silly and off-putting, but the effectiveness, the creepiness of just this image behind her that isn't really focused on, I think that's always great horror filmmaking, is to put scary things kind of out of focus and out of frame, and then let the audience kind of let their eyes naturally find it, and then they're like, what the fuck is that? Like, because you're so, you're focused on what the camera is focusing on, usually in the center of the frame. And when something kind of is over here, Hereditary does this, one of the best I've ever seen. There's just something here, and the music, the movie, nothing really pays attention to it, but you start to just feel it on the screen lurking, and then it's just your eyes start to gravitate. They slowly start to make their way up. Like, what the fuck is that? That is effective horror to me. And so there is some of that here. It's just, I wish I found Kyoko and the kid to be scary, but the kid's even worse. The kid is like outright joke to me. I get that he's got the cat's meow. He's the cat's meow, not for me. But I find that to be silly as well. It just doesn't work for me. Not that, if you think it's awesome and you think it's scary and all that, it's awesome. I just, doesn't work for me. I'm also losing my voice. Can you tell? So not only do I not have a mic plugged in because it's out in the car and it's like 30 degrees outside, and I ain't going out there. But my voice is fucked up. So for anyone who's never seen my channel before, you're already long gone. You're like, what is this shit? But I had to record. It's been like 5 days since I've recorded, and it feels awkward. It actually feels kind of awkward sitting in front of the camera, having taken up. I know a lot of people don't even review but one movie every like week on their channel, so this is typical for most people. But for me, 5 days is a long time. So we got Sarah Michelle Buffy the Vampire Slayer in here, and she and her dude are up in the morning, and he's late for work, and then she's like, oh, I set your clock an hour ahead. Yeah, I wouldn't be okay with that. I'd be like, you have any idea how much anxiety is running through my body right now? I thought I was late, and now I realize like that was all for nothing. Like, my adrenaline's pumping. Like, not cool. And then I'd proceed to have sex with her, so it would all even itself out, but still not cool. I already kind of touched upon the CG. I think it's really lame in this movie. It's really lame in the original as well. I wasn't fucking into that movie. I was like 50 minutes into that one, and it's just like it felt like a collection of short stories is what it felt like, which I get. It's the Grudge. Anyone who enters the house ends up getting the curse. And so it's just kind of a collection of people who were in there, who got killed, and it relies on the eeriness of that, but it's all just kind of rinse, lather, repeat for me, and which is pretty much what I expect from the sequel. And I have seen the Grudge 1, 2, and 3, and I remember them being fairly similar. So we'll see. And then we jump back in time, and we meet Clea Duvall and her dude, and they don't really have much of an impact in this movie. It's kind of more of a callback to the original movie with the blind mother and all that. I don't really see where they fit in this movie all that much. I mean, I get where their their characters are and what's going on, but this feels disjointed because of them in it. Like, I would just rather have focused on Sarah Michelle Gellar's character and then kind of her uncovering the mystery of what happened to Kyoko and then stumbling upon the Bill Pullman reveal thing at the ending of her being in love with him and the husband finding out, going into a jealous rage and killing him. I'm not really sure why the husband's jealous rage killing this woman who was in love with this white man. And then the dude went around and killed the cat and killed the kid and killed her and killed himself. Not really sure why police detectives and caregivers and old blind ladies have to die because of that. Like, whatever problems you had, maybe Bill Pullman fucked you over, maybe whatever. Okay, he's dead. He got thrown out a window. He threw himself out a window, whatever. But that curse should stop there. Why should all these other people suffer? What did Sarah Michelle Gellar's character have to do with anything? What did, the other chick, Jesus Christ, Yoko. Yeah, Yoko Ono, breaking up the Beatles. What the hell did she have to do with anything? You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, it's so unfair. You step foot in the house and that's it. You lose your life. This house is cursed. Like, don't you step in. I'm so angry. You die now. Kyoko sounds like a fucking bitch, and she probably got what she deserves. Okay, that's brutal, but seriously, I don't know. When I see this kind of stuff, I'm just like, what do these people have to do anything? Like, why is the curse on them now? I get it. It's a curse. But they just don't have it coming. It's unfair. It's, but whatever. I guess when a serial killer slasher movie, I mean, none of those kids deserve it. Unless it's like a revenge tale. But even then, they probably don't deserve death most of the time. Anyway, moving on. Her walking around in Japan, which I thought was kind of cool because they brought back the same director and they actually kept it in Japan, as where most of these remakes, if not all of them, like The Ring and all that, Dark Water, they transplant the characters into America because it's an American remake. And so this one stays in Japan. It uses the same looking house. I don't think it's the exact same house because I think I remember reading that it was a sound stage. So they rebuilt the house, but it looks exactly like the one from the original, and they kept it in Japan, which I kind of thought was cool. But her walking around in Japan, not really knowing much of the language, although she speaks it pretty well at certain points, so I'm not really understanding of that, because then she can't read a single word on food, and it's like, you speak it pretty well. I don't know, whatever. But do you imagine? Now, some people might not give a shit, but I am very particular with what I eat in a lot of ways. So, like, just picking something up off a shelf and just being like, I don't know what this is. I guess I'll eat it. Not being able to read instructions, nothing. Now, normally I would just be eating fresh produce and whatnot, and that doesn't really need instruction manual or whatnot. But that all being said, there are some things that I will eat that are prepackaged. Few, but I couldn't imagine walking through. And I haven't always been like this. Now, rewind the clocks 15 freaking years or so, I was eating whatever the hell I wanted, top raw and whatnot, which is essentially what she grabs in here, but she has no idea what it is. So she like pokes her finger through and smells it, and then she buys it. I don't exactly know what she smelled, but it sounded good enough to her, and she took it home, and she guessed on how to make it. But what happens when, I thought it would have been funnier if she would have poked a hole in a few of them and then just put them back up on the shelves. But then we might be rooting for her death because that product has to be sent back now. Not cool. But I thought that was funny. I was like, why didn't she should have put some back. The cops find a jaw laying up in the attic, which of course ends up being Yoko's, and that's Ted Raimi who finds her, and she turns around. I'll tell you this, Yoko's jawless corpse ghost is way freakier, way scarier, way better than Kyoko or the kid. So they should have went with that, but that's just me. And the kid on every floor as the elevator's going up, and it's like he's in the same spot a couple times, and then he's like looking through the window in the last one, and then there's nothing there on the final one as she ascends. I thought that was cool. I did like that. I thought that was a good use of eeriness, and it was a cool shot. So I dug that. And the shower scene, now I've complained in the past about shower sequences not having sex, or sex, not having sex. Yes, not having sex. Why isn't the shower having sex with her? Actually, no, girls. Never mind. No. But you girls know where I was going with that. Okay, the nozzle is your friend. Um, but yeah, so I usually complain about nudity in shower sequences not being there, and then being like, okay, if there isn't nudity, what's the purpose of the sequence? Now, something like Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street, when she's taking the bath, that becomes an iconic moment because Freddy attacks her in there, so there is a purpose to that scene. But every once in a while, we get that shower sequence, and I guess they're trying to build up some psycho tension that never actually gets released because they don't actually do it. But that all being said, we have a lot of shower sequences in movies. No boobs, no nothing, no purpose. It's just like, hey, here's some random activities from a person's day. All right, back to the action. Like, what the fuck was that scene? What was that? Transition? Like, I don't understand. What is this? Why is this here? But this one actually has the moment with the hand in the back of the head, which is a very iconic moment for the film. So there you go. Even though we don't get to say Sarah Michelle Gellar's boobies, we do get to have an effective little hand in the hair, you know, my buddy Daniel White, I posted the picture of the new poster which has the hand in the hair, and he said, I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head, he said that girl has a really bad case of hand drift. That was a good joke, so applause to Daniel for that. Daniel White, I gave you your recognition for your hand drift joke, and I said something back in return that was probably even funnier, but I don't remember what it is, and I'm not going to gloat, even though I had to point that out. All right, Yoko's jawless body, I did really like that, and Kyako in every pic. Now, I thought that this was going to be a haunting thing, but she's legit in every picture. Like, when she goes to the house and she looks at the thing, like, she was there in every picture. So she was just following him around obsessively. And she was slipping shit into his place there and all that. So, man, this chick had it hard up. And then, yeah, I mean, we go from there. Sarah Michelle gets out of the hospital. She comes for her boyfriend. All that's kind of lame. I don't really feel a connection between them. I don't really feel much for anybody in this. The characters are very bland. The story of why she needs to even go back, like, who cares? Just leave. You know, she wants to leave. She even mentions it. I just want to get out of here. Then just go. Like, she's not attached to anything, but the curse is coming for her, right? No matter where she runs, so she's got to figure it out, I guess. But most people would just run because, you know, that's what we would do. So she goes back. Her boyfriend's just randomly there. I guess he helps her out, and he's got a thing of gasoline. And then she tries to burn down the place, and the cops not only save her, but they also save the house. Those bastards. Was she committed to killing herself in that moment? Because it really seemed like she was. She, like, lit it up and was like, fuck it, I'm burning this place down. When Kyako's coming down the stairs and all of that, she was like on the boyfriend, she's in his face, and then her head's coming up the doorway there like she's got some giraffe neck. I think if it works for you, it would be freaky, and you'd be all like, oh my god. But I just looked at it, and I was literally rolling my eyes. Like, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is so stupid looking to me. I don't know, I'm not usually like that, but for some reason, I do. And then, man, you want to talk about eye rolling. I almost gave myself brain damage. I rolled my eyes so hard. The final jump scare. Come on. It's not even a jump scare. I guess it's a creep. Let's see. It's a final eeriness or some bullshit, I don't know. But there's a Kyako behind her and the eyeball. Okay, that's, I don't know, I guess she's following me home. We've been cursed. She's got a grudge on us. I don't know. So, anyways, hopefully I'll have a mic tomorrow. And I was going to do Slasher Sunday, but I didn't bring any of my movies with me. I only grabbed these just because I thought I was going to see The Grudge and then want to talk about these after. I have no room in this trailer right now. I'm trying to figure everything out. Not exactly sure what my next move is here, but I have nothing with me. I mean, nothing. I brought my clothes. And then my kids brought up a couple little things. And then I got this box of consoles back here, like Xbox and whatnot. But that's it. So, yeah. Don't worry about me, guys. I'm doing good. All is well up here. This is all for the betterment. Trust me. This isn't like I'm going backwards. Like I'm going forwards here. Things are getting better. Things are much, much better already. They're on their way to being awesome soon enough. And I'll have a mic. I'll have things figured out here. All is well. Love you guys. Grudge. Not a fan, man. I'm going to hold a grudge towards this franchise if I have to watch another one. But anyways, adios. Hopefully I get to upload this soon.